introduce you to Lara Squires of the Consortium Marketing Group. Lara is also a client of X5, and I was just talking to one of my clients earlier today, and thinking, I was mentioning to Lara that the client said, well, I can't really spend any money on marketing. And I said, well, actually, it's not about spending money on marketing, it's that you must not stop marketing. And I said, you know, there's a whole load of things that you can do, including claiming the territory on the internet. So if you say you're an expert on something, take the opportunity to demonstrate that you're an expert. And there's obviously online networking. There's so many things you can do that are relatively low cost as long as you do it effectively. And that's where you come in, Lara, because you do marketing very effectively. And I love your style. So I just like your opinion on what I've just said and share what other things that you're advising people to do during this crisis.
That's lovely. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, as you know, I'm quite passionate about what we do. So Consortium's been doing what it does for the last 7 years, and that is working predominantly in the professional service sector and helping them with their marketing and with more business. And you're quite right, obviously, in this time when people are furloughing staff, they're struggling to justify spending hundreds or thousands of pounds on marketing, be that in the form of advertising or via using consultants like ourselves. We have had a piece of good news this week, which is our first post-COVID new client. So I think things are on the change.
Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the key is that you don't have to spend a lot of money. Like you mentioned, there is so much you can do for free. We're really happy to share our knowledge by giving people free half-an-hour consultations and so forth. But just to run through a few of the things that they could and should be doing right now. LinkedIn is a brilliant free tool. No, you don't need LinkedIn Premium. I'm yet to really come across somebody who can demonstrate the real value of it for me. And I have trialed it and played with it. It's $50 a month, so it's not cheap. And I don't know anyone that's using the free version to its full capacity yet. So happy to have a further conversation with people if they disagree. So make sure you're...
Just on that, Lara, so yeah. Cutting across you, I look at so many LinkedIn profiles and I just think so many people, just when it comes to before how they share things on LinkedIn, so many people have got so much to do just on making their profiles much more interesting and informative. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So before you're going to really start working with LinkedIn, you need to make sure that your profile is as complete as it can be, and not just robotic fashion of what everybody else in the same sector as you does. Make it personal. In the sectors that we specialise in, and actually in most businesses, people by people, LinkedIn is a people platform. So you really need to try and get across who you are and what you're about. The whole buying process is building, know, trust and like. So people need to know who you are. They need to trust you, and they ideally need to like you. There's not a huge amount you can do about liking one. They're either going to like you or they're not. But as long as you're authentic to who you are, then you will end up with the right type of clients if they do like you. But the trust one is going to come from things like your profile. So making sure that you're having third-party endorsements on there, whether that's through people endorsing your skills or actually leaving you recommendations. It's kind of your shop window. Whilst your website is the business's shop window, your LinkedIn personal page is your own shop window to brand you. So making sure that it doesn't just say director at X5 Accountants. I'm sure yours doesn't, Michael. Making sure it doesn't say that. It actually says what you do. So I know you'll have lots of thoughts yourself on what you actually do for your clients. And so having that in there as the job title rather than the actual official job title, and making sure you're utilising...
Helping people make more money and pay less tax.
You are helping people make more money and pay less tax. I have heard that before. Making sure that you've got your summary in there and thinking about that as your kind of covering letter if you're applying for a job, or which effectively you are doing on LinkedIn. You're applying for people to come and work with you or employ you. So making sure that's all complete, getting all the skills you've got on there, and then that's phase one. So you've now got that out there on LinkedIn, but it's so much more powerful than that. So you can use it to broadcast your messages, making sure you're demonstrating, like you rightly mentioned, Michael, that you're claiming the position of being the expert in your field. making sure you're active in groups that are relevant to you, using it from a business development perspective. It's got fantastic search functionality in it in LinkedIn. If you wanted to target, using our business as an example, if I wanted to find out all the directors for accountancy practices in London, I can use LinkedIn to do that. There will be several thousand and it will show me them. Admittedly, with the free version, you're only going to be able to get access to the first few hundred, but you show me somebody that's going to have time to go through a few hundred records, and fine, they can have the paid for LinkedIn version. So there's so much that people can be doing from that perspective. And obviously, if you're making new connections and they're interested in what you do, you're already down that path of getting someone to know, trust, and like you, and hopefully ultimately buy from you. And that's all free.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think LinkedIn is such an underutilized tool. I get so many inquiries and so many, well, it's not necessarily inquiries straight away, but so many connections and so many comments. So, and you have to earn the right to be trusted, I think. And so you have to, and I remember going to a conference in America and learning that one of the easiest ways is just to comment on other people's posts. Because that's one of the easy ways. So who is this person? And then they come back to you, and then that's just such an easy way without having to think, gosh, what can I do about posting up there every day? Something, people sort of so worried about posting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, that feeds in very nicely to my next point, which is the online networking. And when we provide networking training for people, whether it's face-to-face, in person or virtually, one of the key things is to be interested and interesting, and that feeds into your point about commenting on other people's posts on social media. You don't have to be interesting and come up with your own posts, but at least if you're interested in what other people are talking about, then you'll start to create engagement, which obviously is the first stage of a relationship. But talking about the virtual networking, there's loads of it out there. Some of it's better than others, lots of it's free. But have a play around. Again, with the same as with face-to-face networking, it's about finding the right group with the right audience for you, depending on who your target audience is. Make sure you're not doing too much of it so that you don't have time to follow up, because again, there's no point in doing it if you're not going to do the preparation before you join the group as to who's in it and what your messaging is going to be. If you're also not going to have the time to follow up with the people that you've met, you may as well have not bothered doing it. We've had some really great success stories off the back of a professionals networking lunch that we organised last week. All of the networking I organise is not for profit, and actually since we've made them virtual, we're doing them for charity. So on Friday we raised over £250 for Turning Tides, which is Consortium's charity of the year.
Brilliant.
They're a homeless charity based in Worthing, so we were delighted to have been able to do that. So it's also nice to be able to do something good. But I know of at least 10 of the people in the meeting, of which there were 30, who have had really constructive one-to-one follow-ups off the back of the event, which is great, because then they're going to have got value out of it. They'll go and tell other people about the networking event. We'll then get more people engaged and involved going forwards. I think what's also quite nice with the virtual networking, if you haven't been an avid networker before because you don't like going into a room full of people and not knowing anyone, I think the virtual takes away some of that fear. You are a little bit removed because you're in the comfort of your own home. So I've definitely seen people virtually networking that I haven't seen physical networking. So it has opened up this whole world of new people that I wouldn't have otherwise engaged with. And I think it's a really effective way because you're not wasting time traveling. There's actually a little bit, and it's not that this is a waste of time, but when you are doing physical networking, there is a lot of chatting without a purpose. And I think with the virtual networking, it's far more targeted and structured and refined. So you get a lot more out of it, providing you put the groundwork in front to know what you're going to be talking about.
Yes. I heard somebody setting up a virtual wine tasting where they're going to deliver wine to their clients, and they're going to deliver some cheese, and then they're going to have an expert leading about how to do some wine. And I thought, wow, that's going the other. We do virtual wine tasting where, as a wine club, we go and join together and tasting the same wine. But as a business, to actually deliver, I think that was really a great initiative, a great idea. That wasn't your idea, was it?
No, it wasn't my idea. But I've seen the same quite soon after lockdown. I saw on Facebook there was some advertising. Obviously, I'm their target demographic, of people offering the wine tasting where they deliver the wine and the cheese and things to you. I've seen a lot of people organising quizzes. my business mentor, who runs a web agency for the legal sector, has been running a weekly sort of club called Club Tropiconscious, which is a play on their name. And they get ranges from between 10 to 30 people along. And again, it's just about getting, I think it's a rubbish time. There's very few people that are having a good time right now.
Yes.
So I think providing support networks where there is no pressure to sell, there is no pressure to say I'm amazing and business is great, is really good. And from what my connections and contacts are saying to me, if you support one another at this time, when we do come out of this, which at some point we will, those people that have been supportive and helpful will benefit.
I agree. So conscious of the time, and that we want to just give as much as possible. What other areas would you say social media? I mean, what's your thoughts in terms of Facebook and Twitter for business?
So with the scheduling tools that are out there, like Hootsuite and Buffer, there's no reason why you shouldn't automatically be posting to Facebook and Twitter as well. It's really coming down to if the people watching this want to follow us on LinkedIn, they'll see one of my colleagues, Kat Burness, has just created client personas for Consortium. So it's really you individually knowing who your client persona is. So we talked briefly before this video, Mike, about Pinterest, for example. I don't know the exact figures, but Pinterest is something like the age range is between 18 and 35 and mainly female. So if that is your target audience, then yes, that's the right platform for you to be on. If it's men in their 60s, there is absolutely no point in you being on that platform. So all of the platforms do have demographics. They'll be able to tell you, if you look into them, what the demographic of their user is. And that will give you an insight as to what's worthwhile using. I think the key thing is, if you're going to do it properly, you need to think about having different messaging for each platform. One of the things we've just introduced internally is each member of the team has taken ownership of a different platform depending on what they've got most affinity with. So for me, I'm managing our LinkedIn. Kat's managing our Twitter. I'm also managing our Facebook, and then Louise is managing our Instagram, because actually she's more of the target demographic for Instagram and is just better able to understand the most appropriate posts to be putting out there. So I think you're using the right people for the right jobs, and really thinking about who your target client is.
So try and bring this to a summary. What are if you say the 5 key things that people in business should be thinking about that's not going to be high cost other than to their time?
Well, number one, strategy. They may well have had one pre-COVID. They now need a new one because it doesn't look as it did then. So number one, strategy. Within that, they need to have identified their target clients. They do need to set a budget, I think. If it is zero, it's zero, but to at least think about what they're going to spend, if anything, going forwards. Identify how much time they've got to give to it. There's no point in setting their expectations too high. Like you mentioned, that there are all those platforms, but actually maybe, in fact, I think it would be better to pick one and do it well rather than trying to spread themselves too thin. Yeah. Really think about calls to action in any of your messaging. So what do you want out of what you are doing? What is the measurement? What's your key performance indicators from any of the actions you're doing? How are you going to measure the success of it? And just do it, repeat, test, repeat, test. If it doesn't work, change, and get advice from people around you. There's so many great people out there that are willing to offer you, like yourself, obviously, and myself, that are willing to look at what people are doing and offer advice. Take it where you can. That's
brilliant. Now, so as Lara was just saying, X5, one of the frustrating things that we talk about, it's not just about accounts, because the accounts are almost incidental. It's all about business. And Lara said something really important, is about action plan. So strategy, too many people are just doing it. And I find that really frustrating, because they said to me, how are we doing? And I said, well, I have no idea unless you give me a point of reference. Too many people look at the past rather than looking to the future and working back and say, that's what we're aiming for. And I think the action plan has got to be to talk to people who can help change the way they're thinking, and just say, give them start small, little by little, and then you just get a bit of confidence. And the way you can do that on your marketing is talking to somebody like Lara at Consortium, and she will introduce you with a little bit of hand holding, little bit of mentoring fee, nothing too heavy, but you'll get confidence in people like Lara, just like we do, and you'll then want to use more because you'll see the results that come from it. So I'm sure we're going to have further. I want to know more about Instagram, and I want to know more about Facebook and how you can use it. So Lara, I think we can have another session like this if you're prepared to share your expertise, and our clients, both our sets of clients, will benefit from it.
Yeah, I'd love to. Can I also suggest maybe that, as we're going to be putting this out there, that if your clients have got anything they particularly want covered from a marketing perspective, we can talk about it.
What a great idea. Maybe we can have one of these coffee and question sessions and see what people want to do. We can have a coffee and questions on marketing that anybody can join in.
Love it. Are you going to post me the coffee? Can we have cake as well?
Yeah, well, I think your style, I know it would probably need to be bubbles or something. You know. Thanks, Lara, and thanks everybody. Let us know if you'd like to have anything else from a marketing point of view covered, and we'll get back to you. Bye for now.
Bye.